Okay, and welcome back. I'm Natasha Elkington, your TV host of the GLF Bond 2018. And with me, I am very excited to introduce Janene Yazzie, who's a human rights and indigenous advocate. And you also have a long title, which I'll explain. She's also the Sustainable Development Program Coordinator for the International Indian Treaty Council, ITTC, and the co-convener of the Indigenous People Major Group of the High-Level Political Forum of the SDGs. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so do you want to tell us a little bit more about this, please?
No, absolutely. Well, International Indian Treaty Council is the organization that I work for, and they're this amazing organization that is the international arm and advocate of many regional indigenous movements. And so a lot of the founders and the current board members of this organization were actually some of the key members that helped draft the UN Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And so they've been extremely successful at opening doors and increasing participation and amplifying the voices of indigenous peoples from the communities in international forums such as the Global Landscape Forum. And as a result of that role, they became the co-conveners of the Indigenous Peoples Major Group, which is the recognized major group specifically representing indigenous peoples from the 7 UN regions to participate in the high-level political forum on the Sustainable Development Goals. And through that outfit, we're able to have a voice at the table in the review of the voluntary national reports by the different countries, where they talk about how great they're doing implementing and meeting all the Sustainable Development Goals. And so that's how we end up being participating in that mechanism, and more often than not being a thorn in their side.
Okay, not bad. Thank you. So why don't we go back to the roots, and what I want to know is, why is traditional knowledge important?
Traditional knowledge is very important because it's a generalized term, and in that way can sometimes be dangerous in the way that it's being used and picked up and across different fields. But at its core, what it represents is the specific knowledge systems and worldviews of indigenous peoples. And so there's many different knowledge systems. And what these knowledge systems offer and provide to conversations such as what's taking place here at the Global Landscape Forum is our unique cosmovisions that define our science and our ways of knowing built over generations about how ecosystems work and our relationships to it, our interdependency upon the life that surrounds us, and our responsibilities that we need to honor in order to maintain a balance that is sustainable, that is healthy, and that takes into consideration our impact on future generations.
Right, great. So will you tell us more a bit about your work in terms of water management? Because I know you're involved in that a lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I started my work actually on the international arena, but when in 2011 there was a UN risk assessment report done that was specifically looking at the Southwest United States and my tribe, my nation, and the impacts of climate change and how it would severely alter our ability to maintain our traditional lifestyles, our traditional agricultural systems and livestock practices because there would be no more water. I moved home and started to work very hard at addressing this issue with people on the ground, and through that opportunity was able to work with many different stakeholders to co-found what we ended up calling the Little Colorado River Watershed Chapters Association. We seem to be a fan of big names. But this water association was named after the major river source for our region. And it's the first community-led watershed planning project that centralizes indigenous rights and traditional ecological knowledge as the primary way that we organize and carry out our work. And so because of that, we've come into different conflicts and different political barriers for how we are carrying out our work. And that's taken me into all of these other different fields, but that's also what introduced me to International Indian Treaty Council, was that our success in this project, and also all of the lessons that it's taught us about what kind of policy changes need to be made, what kind of structural changes we need to advocate for, and what kind of behavioral changes need to be made in order to facilitate meaningful integrated land and water management.
Okay, great. So in terms of that, what are your main concerns for indigenous people and your people in the States? What are the main challenges that you're facing at the moment?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot of challenges,
Yes.
but at its core, and one of the things we've been consistent in representing here at the Global Landscape Forum is the violations of our rights, the ongoing violations of our rights. And so for us, one of our major challenges and opportunities is advocating for the use of a rights-based framework as the foundation by which we look at how do we promote meaningful land and water management. And you know, the challenges in doing that are also present and multifaceted. But I think the largest thing is just the lack of visibility of indigenous peoples and an understanding of our histories of colonization and the legacies that we still deal with that keep us from coming and developing the common language necessary to communicate across these different sectors and silos, that when we fight for indigenous rights and when we honor and uphold them, we're fighting for human rights. We're fighting for the rights of local communities. We're fighting for the rights of women. We're fighting for the rights of our LGBTQ relatives. We're fighting for the rights of all marginalized people. And I think you know, when we're able to break past these walls and these things that keep us from finding that common language, it becomes more apparent the ways that we can build a common understanding to nurture meaningful partnerships and collaboration. And you know, that's going to be the challenge that we keep trying to address and chipping away at so that we can be successful in this work.
Yes, I agree. Wonderful. So we'll just end with, like, you know, so why is being here at the GLF important with your cause?
Well, the GLF is actually one of my favorite international forums. You know, you get conference fatigue, like coming to a lot of these things, and sometimes even though there's like great energy and a lot of great participation and people doing amazing presentations on the work that they're doing, sometimes you feel like you didn't really get anything tangible out of it. But what I love about the Global Landscape Forum is that it's still kind of in its infancy, and it's not only invited indigenous peoples to be present in these spaces, but to be on equal footing with everyone else that we've often struggled with in these existing power dynamics, because everyone here is committed to finding and developing those shared spaces for those shared solutions. And so I think it's important for us to be here because, you know, the Global Landscape Forum is not bogged down by all of these like stagnant or set bureaucratic processes, and you know, like there's not these political barriers that are existent in other fora and in other international spaces. And so the potential here to co-create something that could transcend the barriers and the challenges that are created by those other spaces is so immense. And so it's a very important space, especially considering the time that the humanity and the world is in right now, to continue to support and cultivate and help grow. And that's why it makes it so exciting to be here.
Great. Thank you for joining us and sharing some of your time and wisdom with us. And I wish you all the best. And yeah, you're my last interview, so thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.